Hi and welcome to this video about the fascinating life of Keanu Charles Reeves. From his multicultural background to his impressive acting career, Keanu is a unique and intriguing figure. In this video, we'll take a look at his early life, upbringing, and journey to becoming one of the most beloved actors in Hollywood. So sit back, grab some popcorn, and let's delve into the life of Keanu Reeves. This man of many talents was born in Beirut, Lebanon on September 2, 1964. He's the son of Patricia, a costume designer and performer with English roots, and Samuel Nolan Reeves, a native Hawaiian with a diverse ancestry. But hold up, it's not just a simple love story. Keanu's dad abandoned the family when he was just 3 years old. After his parents divorced, Keanu's mom moved the family to Sydney and then New York City, where she married Paul Aaron, a director in Broadway and Hollywood. They eventually moved to Toronto, Canada, but that marriage didn't last long either. Keanu's mom had a few more marriages, but it was her fourth husband, Jack Bond, a hairdresser, that lasted the longest until 1994. Growing up, Keanu was raised primarily in Toronto's Yorkville neighborhood with a nanny often taking care of him and his sisters. With his Chinese Hawaiian grandmother, Keanu was exposed to Chinese art, furniture, and cuisine. He was also influenced by British comedy shows like The Two Ronnies, and his mom taught him some proper English manners, which he still carries to this day. Self-described as a private kid, Keanu went to 4 different high schools, including the Etobicoke School of the Arts, which he was expelled from. In his words, he was just too rambunctious and spoke his mind a bit too much. But that didn't stop him from shining on the ice rink at De La Salle College, where he was a successful ice hockey goalkeeper. He even had aspirations of becoming a professional hockey player for the Canadian Olympic team. But at the age of 15, Keanu switched gears and decided to pursue acting instead. He attended Avondale Secondary Alternative School and was able to continue acting while getting an education. But eventually, he dropped out at 17 and moved to Los Angeles with the help of his American stepfather and a green card. Keanu holds only Canadian citizenship. Early work. In 1984, Reeves was a correspondent for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation youth television program Going Great. That same year, he made his acting debut in an episode of the television series called Hangin' In. In 1985, he played Mercutio in a stage production of Romeo and Juliet at the Leopold's Theatre in North York, Ontario. He made further appearances on stage, including Brad Fraser's cult hit Wolf Boy in Toronto. He also appeared in a Coca-Cola commercial in 1983 and in the National Film Board of Canada coming-of-age short film One Step Away. Reeves made a foray into television films in 1986, including NBC's Babes in Toyland, Act of Vengeance, and Brotherhood of Justice. He made his first motion picture appearances in Peter Markle's Youngblood in 1986, in which he played a goalkeeper, and in the low-budget romantic drama, Flying. He was cast as Matt in River's Edge, a crime drama about a group of high school friends dealing with a murder case, loosely based on the 1981 murder of Marcy Renee Conrad. The film premiered in 1986 at the Toronto International Film Festival to a largely positive response. Janet Maslin of the New York Times describes the performances of the young cast as natural and credible, with Reeves being described as affecting and sympathetic. Towards the end of the 1980s, Reeves starred in several dramas aimed at teen audiences, including as the lead in The Night Before, a comedy starring opposite Lori Loughlin, The Prince of Pennsylvania, and Permanent Record. Although the latter received mixed reviews, Variety magazine praised Reeves' performance, which opens up nicely as the drama progresses. His other acting efforts included a supporting role in Dangerous Liaisons, which earned 7 nominations at the 61st Academy Awards, winning 3: Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Costume Design, and Best Production Design. This was followed by Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, in which he portrays a slacker who travels through time with a friend to assemble historical figures for a school presentation. The film was generally well received by critics and grossed $40.5 million at the worldwide box office. Film review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes gave the film a 79% approval rating with a critical consensus. Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter are just charming, goofy, and silly enough to make this fluffy time travel adventure work. In 1989, Reeves starred in the comedy drama Parenthood, directed by Ron Howard. Nick Hilditch of the BBC gave the film 3 out of 5 stars, calling it a feel-good movie with an extensive and entertaining ensemble cast. In 1990, Reeves gave 2 acting performances. He portrayed an incompetent hitman in the black comedy I Love You to Death and played Martin, a radio station employee in the comedy Tune In Tomorrow, co-starring with River Phoenix as a street hustler in the adventure My Own Private Idaho. The characters embark on a journey of personal discovery. The film premiered at the 48th Venice International Film Festival, followed by a theatrical release in the United States on September 29, 1991. The film earned $6.4 million at the box office. My Own Private Idaho was positively received, with Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly describing the film as a postmodern road movie with a mood of free-floating trance-like despair, a rich, audacious experience. The New York Times complimented Reeves and Phoenix for their insightful performances. Reeves starred alongside Patrick Swayze, Lori Petty, and Gary Busey in the action thriller Point Break, directed by Kathryn Bigelow. He plays an undercover FBI agent tasked with investigating the identities of a group of bank robbers. To prepare for the film, Reeves and his co-stars took surfing lessons with professional surfer Dennis Jarvis in Hawaii. Reeves had never surfed before. Upon its release, Point Break was generally well received and a commercial success, earning $83.5 million at the box office. Reeves' performance was praised by the New York Times for considerable discipline and range, adding, "He moves easily between the buttoned-down demeanor that suits a police procedural story and the loose-jointed manner of his comic roles." Writing for the Washington Post, Hal Hinson called Reeves the perfect choice and praised the surfing scenes, but opined that the filmmakers have their characters make the most ludicrously illogical choices imaginable. At the 1992 MTV Movie Awards, Reeves won the Most Desirable Male Award. In 1991, Reeves developed an interest in a music career. He formed an alternative rock band called Dogstar, consisting of members Robert Mailhouse, Greg Miller, and Brett Domrose. Reeves played the bass guitar. A year later, he played Jonathan Harker in Francis Ford Coppola's gothic horror Bram Stoker's Dracula, based on Stoker's 1897 novel. Starring alongside Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, and Anthony Hopkins, the film was critically and commercially successful. It grossed $215.8 million worldwide. For his role, Reeves was required to speak with an English accent, which drew some ridicule. Overly posh and entirely ridiculous, Reeves' performance is as painful as it is hilarious, wrote Limmer Assault of Virgin Media. In a retrospective interview in 2015, director Coppola said, "Reeves tried so hard. He wanted to do it perfectly, and in trying to do it perfectly, it came off as stilted." Bram Stoker's Dracula was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, winning 3 in Best Costume Design, Best Sound Editing, and Best Makeup. The film also received 4 nominations at the British Academy Film Awards. He starred in the action thriller Speed, alongside Sandra Bullock and Dennis Hopper. He plays police officer Jack Traven, who must prevent a bus from exploding by keeping its speed above 50 miles per hour. Speed was the directorial debut of Dutch director Jan de Bont. Several actors were considered for the lead role, but Reeves was chosen because Bont was impressed with his Point Break performance. To look the part, Reeves shaved all of his hair off and spent 2 months in the gym to gain muscle mass. During production, Reeves' friend River Phoenix died, resulting in adjustments to the filming schedule to allow him to mourn. Speed was released on June 10 to a critically acclaimed response. Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune lauded Reeves, calling him absolutely charismatic, giving a performance juiced with joy as he jumps through elevator shafts and atop a subway train. David Anson, writing for Newsweek, summarized Speed as relentless without being overbearing. "This is one likely blockbuster that doesn't feel too big for its britches. It's a friendly juggernaut." The film grossed $350 million from a $30 million budget and won 2 Academy Awards in 1995, Best Sound Editing and Best Sound. Reeves' next leading role came in the 1995 cyberpunk action thriller Johnny Mnemonic, directed by artist Robert Longo and based on the 1981 story of the same name by William Gibson. Set in 2021, is about a man who has a cybernetic brain implant and must deliver a data package before he dies or is killed by the Yakuza. The film received mainly negative reviews, and critics felt Reeves was woefully miscast. Roger Ebert opined that the film is one of the great goofy gestures of recent cinema, a movie that doesn't deserve 1 nanosecond of serious analysis, but has a kind of idiotic grandeur that makes you almost forgive it. As part of the film studio's marketing efforts, a CD-ROM video game was also released. He next appeared in the romantic drama A Walk in the Clouds, which also garnered mixed to negative reviews. Reeves plays a young soldier returning home from World War II, trying to settle down with a woman he married impulsively just before he enlisted. Reeves was soon drawn to science fiction roles, appearing in Chain Reaction with co-stars Morgan Freeman, Rachel Weisz, Fred Ward, Kevin Dunn, and Brian Cox. He plays a researcher of a green energy project, who has to go on the run when he is framed for murder. Chain Reaction was not a critical success and gained mostly a negative reaction. Review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes gave it a rating of 16% and described it as a man-on-the-run thriller that mostly sticks to generic formula. Reeves' film choices after Chain Reaction were also critical disappointments. He starred in the independent crime comedy Feeling Minnesota with Vincent D'Onofrio and Cameron Diaz. Reeves retreated briefly to the theater playing Prince Hamlet in a 1995 Manitoba Theatre Center production of Hamlet in Winnipeg, Manitoba. The Sunday Times critic Roger Lewis believed his performance, writing he quite embodied the innocence, the splendid fury, the animal grace of the leaps and bounds, the emotional violence that formed the Prince of Denmark. He is one of the top 3 Hamlets I have seen, for a simple reason. He is Hamlet. In that year, he turned down an offer to star in Speed 2, Cruise Control, despite being offered a salary of $12 million. According to Reeves, this decision caused 20th Century Fox to sever ties with him for a decade. He starred in the 1997 supernatural horror The Devil's Advocate alongside Al Pacino and Charlize Theron. Reeves agreed to a pay cut of several $million so that the film studio could afford to hire Pacino. Based on Andrew Neiderman's novel of the same name, the feature is about a successful young lawyer invited to New York City to work for a major firm, who discovers the owner of the firm is a devil. The Devil's Advocate attracted positive reviews from critics. Film critic James Berardinelli called the film highly enjoyable and wrote, "There are times when Reeves lacks the subtlety that would have made this a more multi-layered portrayal, but it's nevertheless a solid job." In 1999, Reeves starred in the critically acclaimed science fiction film The Matrix, the first installment in what would become the Matrix franchise. Reeves portrays computer programmer Thomas Anderson, a hacker using the alias Neo, who discovers humanity is trapped inside a simulated reality created by intelligent machines. Reeves had to prepare by reading Kevin Kelly's Out of Control, The New Biology of Machines, Social Systems, and the Economic World, and Dylan Evans' Ideas on Evolutionary Psychology. The principal cast underwent months of intense training with martial arts choreographer Yuen Woo-ping to prepare for the fight scenes. The Matrix proved to be a box office success. Several critics considered it to be one of the best science fiction films of all time. Kenneth Turan of the Los Angeles Times felt it was a wildly cinematic, futuristic thriller that is determined to overpower the imagination, despite perceiving weaknesses in the film's dialogue. Janet Maslin of the New York Times credited Reeves for being a strikingly chic Prada model of an action hero, and thought the martial arts stunts were the film's strongest feature. The Matrix received Academy Awards for Best Film Editing, Best Sound Editing, Best Visual Effects, and Best Sound. After the success of The Matrix, Reeves avoided another blockbuster in favor of a lighthearted sports comedy, The Replacements. He agreed to a pay cut to enable Gene Hackman to co-star in the film. Against his wishes, Reeves starred in the thriller The Watcher, playing a serial killer who stalks a retired FBI agent. He said that a friend forged his signature on a contract, which he could not prove. He appeared in the film to avoid legal action. Upon its release, the film was critically panned. That year, he had a supporting role in another thriller, Sam Raimi's The Gift, a story about a woman with extrasensory perception asked to help find a young woman who disappeared. The film grossed $44 million worldwide. In 2001, Reeves continued to explore and accept roles in a diverse range of genres. The first was a romantic drama, Sweet November, a remake of the 1968 film of the same name. This was his second collaboration with Charlize Theron. Hardball marked Reeves' attempt in another sports comedy. Directed by Brian Robbins, is based on the book Hardball, a season in the projects by Daniel Coyle. Reeves plays Connor O'Neill, a troubled young man who agrees to coach a Little League team from the Cabrini Green Housing Project in Chicago as a condition of obtaining a loan. By 2002, his professional music career had come to an end when Dogstar disbanded. The band had released 2 albums during their decade together. After being absent from the screen in 2002, Reeves returned to The Matrix sequels in 2003 with The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions, released in May and November, respectively. Principal photography for both films was completed back-to-back, primarily at Fox Studios in Australia. The Matrix Reloaded garnered mostly favorable reviews. The film grossed $739 million worldwide. The Matrix Revolutions, the third installment, was met with mixed reception. According to review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the consensus was that characters and ideas take a back seat to the special effects. Paul Clinton, writing for CNN, praised the special effects but felt Reeves' character was unfocused. In contrast, the San Francisco Chronicle's Carla Meyer was highly critical of the special effects, writing, "Computer-generated imagery goes from dazzling to deadening in action scenes that favor heavy, clanking weaponry over the martial arts moves that thrilled viewers of The Matrix and The Matrix Reloaded." Nevertheless, the film grossed a healthy $427 million worldwide, although less than the 2 previous films. Something's Gotta Give, a romantic comedy, was Reeves' last release of 2003. He co-starred with Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton, and played Dr. Julian Mercer in the film. Something's Gotta Give received generally favorable reviews. After this series of commercial failures, Reeves' career rebounded in 2014. He played the titular role in the action thriller John Wick, directed by Chad Stahelski. In the first installment of the John Wick franchise, Reeves plays a retired hitman seeking vengeance. He worked closely with the screenwriter to develop the story. We all agreed on the potential of the project. I love the role, but you want the whole story, the whole ensemble to come to life, Reeves said. Filmed on location in the New York City area, the film was eventually released on October 24 in the United States. The Hollywood Reporter was impressed by the director's confident, muscular action debut and Reeves' effortless performance, which marked his return to the action genre. Gina Katsoulis of the New York Times praised Reeves' fight scenes and wrote he is always more comfortable in roles that demand cool over hot attitude over emotion. John Wick proved to be a box office success, grossing $86 million worldwide. Next, Reeves starred in a smaller-scale horror feature, Knock Knock, a remake of the 1977 film Death Game. Described as over-the-top destruction by the Toronto Star, Reeves plays a father home alone when two young women show up and start a game of cat and mouse. Reeves appeared in 5 film releases in 2016. The first was Expose, a crime thriller about a detective who investigates his partner's death and discovers police corruption along the way. The film received negative reviews for its confused plot, and Reeves was criticized for displaying limited facial expressions. Reeves then had a minor role in The Neon Demon, a psychological horror directed by Nicholas Winding Refn. He played Hank, a lustful motel owner who appears in Jess's nightmare. In his 4th release, he played a charismatic leader of a settlement in The Bad Batch. His final release of the year was The Whole Truth. He played Richard, a defense attorney. Noel Murray of the AV Club described it as moderately clever, reasonably entertaining courtroom drama with a skilled cast, but overall a mundane film. Besides to this large-scale feature, Reeves starred in a drama, To the Bone, in which he plays a doctor helping a young woman with anorexia. It premiered at the 2017 Sundance Film Festival, followed by distribution on Netflix in July. Reeves reunited with Winona Ryder in the 2018 comedy Destination Wedding, about wedding guests who develop a mutual affection for each other. They had worked together previously in Bram Stoker's Dracula, A Scanner Darkly, and The Private Lives of Pippa Lee. Reeves also co-produced and starred in 2 thrillers, Siberia, in which he plays a diamond trader who travels to Siberia to search for his Russian partner, and Replicas, which tells the story of a neuroscientist who violates laws and bioethics to bring his family back to life after they die in a car crash. Reeves then voiced Duke Kaboom in 2019's Toy Story 4, the 4th installment of Pixar's Toy Story franchise. In that same year, on April 27 and 28, a film festival was held in his honor, called Keanu Con, hosted in Glasgow, Scotland. Over 2 days, 9 of his films were screened for guests. He also appeared in the SpongeBob movie Sponge on the Run as a tumbleweed named Sage. Reeves appears as Johnny Silverhand in the video game Cyberpunk 2077. In December 2021, Reeves returned to the screen for the 4th film in the Matrix franchise, The Matrix Resurrections. Carrie-Anne Moss also reprised her role as Trinity. The Matrix Resurrections was a box office disappointment. One critic praised Reeves and Moss' performances, but thought the film was no game changer. In 1998, Reeves met director David Lynch's assistant Jennifer Syme at a party thrown for his band Dogstar, and they started dating. On December 24, 1999, Syme gave birth 8 months into her pregnancy to the couple's child, who was stillborn. The couple broke up several weeks afterward, but later reconciled. On April 2, 2001, Syme was killed when her vehicle collided with 3 parked cars on Cahunga Boulevard in Los Angeles. Syme was impaired and also not belted in. Reeves told investigators that they were back together and had brunch together in San Francisco the day before the accident. Reeves acted as a pallbearer for Syme, who was buried next to her daughter. He was scheduled to film the sequels to The Matrix the following spring, but sought peace and time, according to friend Brett Domrose of Dogstar. Reeves has also been romantically linked to longtime friend and filmmaker Brenda Davis, whose child he is godfather to, and model actress China Chow. In 2009, Reeves met Alexandra Grant at a dinner party. They went on to collaborate on 2 books together. They went public with their relationship in November 2019. Reeves is discreet about his spiritual beliefs, saying that it is something personal and private. When asked if he was a spiritual person, he said that he believes in God, faith, inner faith, the self, passion, and things, and that he is very spiritual and supremely bountiful. Although he does not formally practice Buddhism, the religion has left a strong impression on him, especially after filming Little Buddha. He said, "Most of the things I've come away with from Buddhism have been human, understanding feelings, impermanence, and trying to understand other people and where they're coming from." When asked on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert in 2019 about his views on what happens after death, Reeves replied, "I know that the ones who love us will miss us." Reeves supports several charities and causes. In response to his sister's battle with leukemia, he founded a private cancer foundation, which aids children's hospitals and provides cancer research. In June 2020, he volunteered for Camp Rainbow Gold, an Idaho children's cancer charity. Reeves has said, "Money is the last thing I think about. I could live on what I have already made for the next few centuries." It was rumored that Reeves gave away a substantial portion, estimated to be $35 to $125 million, of his earnings from The Matrix to the special effects and makeup crews. However, this has been significantly embellished. Reeves negotiated a smaller deal, relinquishing his contractual right to a percentage of the sequel's profits in exchange for a more extensive special effects budget. Reeves co-founded a production company, Company Films, with friend Stephen Hamill. An avid motorcyclist, Reeves co-founded Arch Motorcycle Company, which builds and sells custom motorcycles. In 2017, Reeves, Jessica Fleischman, and Alexander Grant founded book publisher X Artists Books. He has written 2 books, Ode to Happiness and Shadows. If you've liked the video, please subscribe.